When you in countless noisy days are overwhelmed by life's burdens and seek a refuge for weariness late at night, do you ever recall that midsummer with wind sweeping across the empty ballpark, filled with the scent of cicada songs and sweat? In Japan's manga realm built on wealth, fanfare and passion, there lived a creator. His art style is the calmest of all, yet beneath the placid surface lie surging emotions capable of drowning one's soul. He depicted the most flawless youth, yet with tender strokes, carved out the most heart-wrenching sudden death in Japanese manga history at the happiest moments of his stories. While the whole era wept for the regrets in his works and hailed him as the spokesperson of youth, the man himself lived like an almost invisible figure. Tonight, let us stay beside the flickering fire and follow this story that needs no memorizing, to step into his real life. This creator dwelling between restraint and exquisite tenderness is Mitsuru Adachi. This is a tale about blank spaces in art and struggles against fate. Everyone knows that in Touch, Kazuya Yusuji passed away in a car accident, never reaching Koshien. Everyone knows the young love between childhood sweethearts in H2 faded away in the bloom of youth. Yet few know that the author who portrayed so many missed chances and reconciliations is actually extremely introverted, quiet and used to hiding in the shadows. He has none of the arrogance or irregular routines typical of some artists. Instead, with the self-discipline of a traditional craftsman, he mends the regrets in countless lonely hearts silently between black and white panels. Now please slow your breath and let the hustle outside fade away. We are about to return to that moment when fate snapped and a silent storm brewed. In Tokyo in 1981, neon lights glimmered across the streets, reflecting the fanatical atmosphere of the economic bubble. The whole society indulged in rampant entertainment. Inside a small room at Shagakukan lit by dim table lamps, 30-year-old Mitsuru Adachi sat alone at a worn wooden desk, his eyes as calm as still water. In this year, the manga Touch began its serialization in weekly magazines, which would become an inescapable turning point in his life. Back then, the shonen manga world was dominated by works like Fist of the North Star and Dragon Ball, defined by muscular characters, fervor and loud outcries. Few believed a creator with mild art, sparse lines and minimal dialogue could go far. In the early stages of serialization, fluctuating popularity meant the work faced constant risk of being cancelled. The scrutiny from editors and readers' demand for fast-paced plots pressed heavily on his shoulders like invisible tides. Day after day, he endured aching joints from non-stop drawing, sustaining himself with cold green tea deep into the night. It was the first trial fate laid before him, and also a cruel test for his artistic integrity: compromise to the popular tastes of the market, or stick to his artistic intuition amid lonely blank spaces. On rainy nights when silence filled the studio, Adachi looked at his gaunt reflection in the mirror, his hair messy yet his gaze gentle, and made a decision no one in the industry expected. He did not speed up the plot. Instead, he cut down dialogue even further. He used long shots of empty corridors, fluttering curtains and drifting clouds to convey characters' inner thoughts. He knew well that true sorrow and excitement never need wild shouts. They always linger in those unnoticed silent gaps. As the story unfolded, Touch shocked the entire Japanese manga industry with its unique narrative style of blank spaces and down-to-earth warmth. Yet great fame and massive capital also brought a silent tug-of-war between the creator and the commercial publishing machine. One early morning in 1982, when Adachi handed in his latest draft, a dead silence fell over the editorial department. On the pages, Kazuya Yusuji, the nation's beloved perfect young man and the protagonist's younger brother, died suddenly in a car accident while rushing to the final game to save a child crossing the road. It was an extremely bold choice, even against common commercial logic. After the initial shock, the editorial staff strongly opposed the plot. Executives and sponsors came one after another, urging Adachi to rewrite the story so that Kazuya would only be injured and witness his brother's success from hospital. Capital tried to bring the stubborn creator to heel. To businessmen, a hit manga was linked to derivatives, anime adaptations and huge profits, and such a tragic ending would upset readers. Many talented creators lost their original vision in such conflicts, becoming mere tools for producing formulaic content. Though mild-mannered and always wearing a soft smile, Adachi had an unyielding will. He understood that compromise would strip the work of its profound exploration of humanity, reducing it to empty commercial entertainment. In this contest of wills, he staked his career and interests, firmly refusing to revise the plot under pressure. He often sat quietly staring at the busy streets outside the window during negotiations, then returned to his studio and drew the empty hospital bed and the young man covered with a white cloth in the morgue. He defended the dignity of a creator, and engraved the unfinished dream of Koshian deep in the memories of an era. Entering the 21st century, Adachi's creation had turned into a solitary practice akin to that of a monk, yet he also fell into the dilemma of surpassing himself. Long after the peak of touch, doubts never faded. Some critics mocked that he always drew identical faces and stuck to stories about baseball and childhood sweethearts. Online, people even made jokes about the similar-looking characters in his works. Deep inside his studio, quiet enough to hear one's own heartbeat, Adachi endured the pressure from this impetuous age. No creator can escape the exhaustion of inspiration or the decline of physical health. Years of work impaired his eyesight, and long hours at the desk troubled his cervical spine. Still, he kept using similar character designs and themes. This was not a lack of ideas, but a sophisticated narrative pursuit and profound understanding of human nature. He sought to depict entirely different souls beneath the surface of ordinary daily life. During the creation of H2 and Cross Game, his life became a rigid routine. Apart from his assistants and regular publishers, he cut off most social contacts, living like a hermit hidden in modern Tokyo. The public talked about his enormous wealth from royalties, but only he knew that every stroke was a struggle against his aging body in the quiet studio late at night. Gradually, he wove more acceptance and relief into his stories. The wounded young men in his works chose to smile and reconcile with fate when facing death and separation. It was the faint light he held onto amid loneliness and hardship, for himself and for the whole world. People have long misunderstood the inner world of this reclusive genius while indulging in his works. Touched by the warm sunsets, youthful crushes and funny daily moments in his stories, readers assumed he lived a rich and romantic life filled with affection. Some media even fabricated rumors about past heartbreaks and lost love, claiming his obsession with depicting regret stemmed from his own painful experiences. The truth is far simpler. Adachi's real life is plain and extremely restrained. He has no dramatic romances or regrettable partings. When he was young, he made a firm choice: never let worldly relationships distract him from manga creation. His rational character and pursuit of purity formed a striking paradox in his life. He understood jealousy, possession, compromise and dedication in love better than anyone, yet he chose to stand aside as a calm observer of time. As fast food culture swept across the world, digital painting made creation more efficient yet mediocre. Everyone chased instant sensory stimulation and traffic. Adachi, however, remained steadfast. He still used traditional dip pens and persisted in the old-fashioned way of drawing on paper. With strict self-discipline, he resisted the impetuosity of the times. He did not endure loneliness passively, but chose to build an eternal spiritual shelter for those unspeakable pains and regrets hidden in solitude. As time went by for half a century, Adachi has entered his later years. Those readers who once cheered passionately in the stands have stepped into ordinary life, but the subtle blank spaces and gentle moods he depicted have become precious aesthetic classics in the history of animation and comics. Time has vindicated him in the most gentle way. He still lives in his quiet residence in Tokyo, and the lamp in his studio lights up late every night. He rarely gives interviews or uses social media, so photos of him in recent years are extremely rare. He kept his lifelong promise: let the works speak for themselves, and stay hidden behind the scenes. We often seek comfort in the dead of night. What we truly long for is the peace of mind to accept the complexity of life. With decades of perseverance and restraint, Adachi has carried the sharp regrets of youth for us. When we face the imperfections in our own lives, we learn to depart with grace. That endless summer lives on in every reader's heart with a unique ending. As long as we hold on to purity and tenderness even in hard times, we will never be defeated by fate. The night has grown deep, and the noise of the city has faded into silence. After hearing this story, may you relax your brows and lay down your weariness. Let go of the sorrow over losses and regrets, and drift into sweet dreams tonight. Close your eyes, follow the dimming light, and fall into a peaceful sleep. Good night.